articles thing that I talked about last week, because LinkedIn was actually on vacation last week. So it's been a little bit slow for them to get back to us. So I want to welcome everyone to the call. Brenda, it looks really great out there. We had a very similar situation with our weather here. We went from not much spring to 90 degrees, and now we're kind of in the middle again. So and I do want to have a shout out. I am so looking forward to seeing you, Brenda, in a couple of weeks. Going to have a lot of fun with that. And any of you around Northern New Jersey, feel free to reach out to me. Have a great day, everyone. I don't want to monopolize the call any more than that, but so Brenda, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Kenneth. You are awesome. I surround myself with awesome people, like Kenneth Lang, and inside the group here, we started calling people all-stars that are helpers of the group here. And when I have a Friday I can't make it, I reach out to my all-stars and I say, can you all run the meeting in my absence? And I have no fear at all, because these are experienced professionals. They've been here for a while helping us out. So thank you so much, Kenneth, for jumping in and helping me out with that right now. I would like to ask all the all-stars, if you could, to please use the raise hand function to raise your hand so I can make you a co-host, because I'm working off of the web version of Zoom. It's a little bit different than the regular version, and I'm having a hard time. It's like when you go into the grocery store and they moved the bread and the milk, and you're like, where am I? Like, I can't find anything on here. At any rate, for all of you who are joining, my name is Brenda Meller. If it's the very first time you're coming onto the call, I want to welcome you. And I want to say, first of all, I am so glad that you are here. There are many of you that are in career transition. You have been let go, laid off, unemployed, RIF. I mean, all these words that the corporate people think of to make themselves sound better about changing people's lives and not in a positive direction, and putting you back out into the job search market. And it's not a good place to be. And I just want to kind of call it like it is, because, you know, I've been through it myself twice in my career. The last time it happened, I was actually starting to look for a job at the time. I still was blindsided by it. I mean, completely blindsided by it. And I know it's an emotional thing for you to go through, whether you know it's coming or not. We tie our identity around our jobs. And when you're not working, you know, it's a bit of like I don't want to say having an identity crisis, but it's like you want to be back to work. And it's also an emotional process that you go through, especially if you've been dedicating your heart and soul to your job, your company, your team, right? And then all of a sudden you're told, hey, you're not part of the team anymore. And that wasn't your choice. You didn't have a choice in that. It's very like frustrating. And you might go through highs and lows, and the highs may be, oh, I'm so relieved I'm out of that place because it was a toxic environment and I had a horrible boss, or I didn't like my coworkers, or I was being held back, or whatever it is. And you might have days where, like today, I'm sitting out in my back deck and I cannot imagine going back to corporate and being back in an office again. My son graduated recently. I think I've been telling you the story all along. And he is going into the trades and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's 18. He was working at a Valvoline oil change, and he just got a new job at Flame Heating and Cooling here in Metro Detroit. And he's going to be a plumbing apprentice, and he's super excited about this. Yesterday was his first day, and they walked him through the office. And it kind of reminded me of like when I had my first day at the corporate office, right? And they walk you through the office and they introduce you to people. And he's like, and then they were showing me these, and the way he described it, he's like, these cubicles, Mom. And they were like these dusty, crusty. He's like, I don't want to work in a cubicle ever. Like that does not appeal to him at all. And I remember my days of, you know, when you get the new job and they walk you around and then they show you to your workspace, here's your cubicle. And I remember that feeling of pride, like this is my place. This is the space where I'll be doing the work, and who's sitting next to you. You're going to start making friends with them and whatnot. But you know, there's different paths for success for all of us as individuals. And I want you to know, most importantly, wherever you are in your job search journey, you still are part of a team. You're part of this team. Look around the room right now. We've got almost 50 people that are on the call here today. And I want you to know that we are here for you as a group. I've been doing these Friday VIP job seeker office hours weekly for about 3 years now. And I've been pulling in some volunteers, people like Kenneth and Sue and Mindy and Linda, to help me out with, you know, I call them the all-stars, helping me out with the meetings. And I've always kind of like, I want to make sure I'm understanding the life cycle of the events and offerings I'm doing, and I'm not weighing too heavily upon my volunteers that are coming and helping me out. So I have made the decision, starting in August, we're still going to be doing a weekly VIP office hours session, but the job seeker focus will be on the first Friday of the month. So the first Friday starting August 4th will be for VIP job seekers, which includes all of you. And by the way, when I say VIP job seekers, I'm not just talking about people that are VP and above or director level, like anybody. And when I say VIP, because you are a very important person, regardless if you have a paycheck, regardless if you're working, you're still important. I want you to know that. So we will still be meeting every Friday through the end of July. I had a couple of people say, oh, Brenda's not doing her Friday calls anymore. I am, but the job seekers will only be on the first Friday of the month starting in August. And you'll be getting several emails from me in between now and the time that happens. And I even anticipate on the second Friday of August, I'll probably get a couple people saying, where's the link? I can't find it. And then I'll have to remind you, remember, we're going to monthly now. So we're going to be doing first Friday only. The second Friday of the month starting in August will be focused on individuals who are coaches, consultants, speakers, and authors. So there may be a few of you on the call that are thinking about, hey, maybe I'll do what Brenda did. I'll stay out of corporate and I'll start my own business. And maybe you're already starting to dabble in that as a side hustle right now. Come on the call. What we'll be doing is focusing on LinkedIn tips, marketing tips. We'll be sharing tips with each other. So feel free to come on to that on the second Friday starting in August. The third Friday, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn company pages. So again, if you're thinking about self-employment or starting that side hustle, or you already have your business, you can come on and we'll be talking all things company pages. And then the fourth Friday will be focused on people who are in the social media realm, so social media managers or work in marketing. So those will be the 4 areas of focus. If you go to the mellermarketing.com/Friday VIP, it outlines all 4 topics, and we do have links to RSVP for all of those. Julia, if you're on the call, if I could ask you to drop that inside the chat. I'm not sure if she's on or not today, but if you are on the call, Julia, I'm going to ask you to drop it inside chat. I'll peek in just a second. If I don't see it, then I will. Oh, there she is. Thank you, Julia. I appreciate it. All right, so here's what we are going to do. We're going to go through. I'm going to have each of the All-Stars introduce themselves. And then we're going to go through and we're going to start to do some Q&A and share some success stories. So for all of you who are job seekers, I want you to start thinking about what questions you have for us. If you do have a question, I want you to type in the word question in all caps and then type out the full question. And then use your raise hand if you could, because we're going to call on you in the order in which I see your hands go up, okay? And then if you have a success story, I want you to put the word success, SUCCESS, in all caps in chat, and then raise your hand. And again, we'll call on you for that. Okay. We will end the call by 11 a.m. The whole call is being recorded. If you go to the YouTube channel, you can watch the playback from there. And I think that's it in terms of my reminder. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in order for the All-Stars. Remember your order. I'm only going to say this once. Kenneth Lang, Sue Griffey, Mindy Stern, Linda Brubaker, Joey Himmelfarb, and then we'll be coming back to me. So Kenneth, you are up, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Great to be here, everyone. Have a great day, everyone. I wanted to report back to the group of some of my findings after the whole collaborations thing. I put in the chat, first of all, a link to the group. And I also put Leah Shin's LinkedIn contact info. They're going to start rolling it out now. And it's by invite only, but invite doesn't mean you can't join. You really want to just kind of engage on the platform. Little by little, more and more people are coming on because I've been looking at collaborative articles for the last week or so. So any questions, reach out to me that way. But I figured it'd be better for me to use these calls to kind of report back and trying to report back to everyone else. So I think great opportunity. I want to be your LinkedIn, your eyes and ears as much as possible, because one advantage to having gone last week is I've met some people LinkedIn who I can actually reach out to, which is not to say that I can help you with stuff, with settings and stuff, but definitely can get you some insight. So I want to thank you so much, Brenda, for all these great calls. Definitely understand the prioritization. I know with me at Leahack Harrison, I'm probably going to be changing things up in the fall as well, but I'm here to help you in any way I can. Ask for help. And I actually did a post today. If you want, I actually tagged some of you there. It's a motivational post. So use a post like that as a way to kind of springboard yourself. And I see Sue and Mindy and Joey, you guys already added to it. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass it on to Sue.
Thanks, Ken. I'm Sue Griffey, but the most important thing about me is I bring the pom-poms. And thank you, Ken. I was surprised to but get on LinkedIn and find that post this morning. I love that you talked about celebrating positive actions forward, which people don't always identify as wins. I have a global mentoring practice, and I'm trying to bridge the world between what the global development world has done and what the US world has done in career and professional development. And finally, it's meshing, and there's a lot that's very helpful for both sides. On to Mindy now.
Thanks, Sue. Hello, everyone. I am so honored to be here with you. 9 years ago, I was in your position. I had been let go from a job that I absolutely loved, and I never, ever thought that that would happen to me because I was doing great and I loved what I did, but we got acquired, and that's what happens sometimes. The difference between what I had and what you guys have is you have this wonderful community, and I had nothing like that. And so I appreciate Brenda for hosting this community. It's been a wonderful, wonderful way to meet people. I love helping job seekers. That's what I do every single day. And I also host a group called the Accelerator Job Seeker Group. We have meetings once a month, and in the summer, we host an alumni from our job seeker group. And so maybe next summer, one of you will be an alumni and you can come and present. This August, we have Jeffrey Ullman, who documented his entire job search journey, and he's going to be presenting on August 2nd. I'm going to put the link into the chat so you can join. It's free. It's Wednesday, August 2nd. Happy to have you. And happy birthday to Brian. I think it's Brian Bros's birthday today. So happy birthday to you. And moving on to Linda.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Brubaker, and I'm a job search coach too. My journey is such that after having been laid off 3 times, one of the things that I've discovered is that I really love the giving back part of it. So I've been a recruiter, a hiring manager, a talent acquisition manager, and a job search coach in a dedicated way now for the last 6.5 years. And what I do is that I specialize in helping you to discover and highlight your transferable skills to help you find that next forever job. Reach out anytime. This is a fantastic group with lots of support. Please, please, please. Thank you, Brenda, first of all. But reach out to everybody. We're all here to help. And look what came in the, oh, I don't know if you can see it. No, sorry. Virtual background, it's hard to see. But I just got my copy of Brenda's book.
Morning, all. I'm Joey Himmelfarb. Thanks for being here today. I know you don't want to be here possibly, but we're happy to have you nonetheless and support you. I am an author and speaker, and depending on the hour of the day, also help people sell themselves in the job search. And I try to anticipate or teach you, I should say, or encourage you to think positively as much as possible, knowing that negative serves no function. So while we're in these conversations, I'll be listening intently. And if I hear you going down a rat's hole, I will chime in, raise my hand, and try to bring you back from the dark side. And I will turn it over back to Brenda.
Joey, I am dialing in. So could you tell us about your book for a minute while I dial in?
Sure. Okay. So my first book is called Don't Paint Your Kitchen. It has to do with motivation and being disciplined on the job search. I'm getting excellent reviews from it. Most people who read it have found out that it's not just really for job seekers. It's really for anybody who's looking to lead a positive-minded life. So I'm happy to report that. And so I'm writing my second book now, which is almost a sequel to it. It also has to do with job seekers. And it's really a fun process. It takes time, and it's more than I thought, but I really enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to getting that published. Probably not this year, because there's a lot of work that goes into it. But I'm writing it as we speak, a little bit every day. Words become sentences, sentences become paragraphs, and then paragraphs become chapters, which become a book. So it takes time, but it's fun, and I enjoy it. So anyway. Should I keep rambling, Brenda? Or are you back in?
Oh, I'm good. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll come back on the stage again. Thank you so much, Joey. So again, these are the little techniques that I have in my back pocket when things don't go right. And I did see 1 or 2 people saying, hey, your audio's breaking up. And I'm actually glad that that happened, because I want to use this as a learning experience, not a mistake, but as a learning experience to share with all of you. Because at some point, as you are interviewing, you're probably going to have a hiccup with your technology. You might be in a Zoom call doing an interview, and the interviewee is saying, I can't hear you. or your Wi-Fi is kind of going in and out because of weather or whatever's going on in the neighborhood, things like that. So say, give me just 1 second, and you're going to be calm. You're not going to panic. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go down to your audio button inside Zoom, and you're going to click on switch to phone audio, and then you'll get a pop-up, and it'll give you a phone number. And that's what I just did right now. It gives you a phone number. You enter the phone number, then you enter the meeting ID and the participant ID. And the participant ID is important because it associates you to the computer, so you're not on twice and you don't get an echo. And then as soon as you do that, it automatically switches your audio from the computer to your phone. I don't know how it happens, but that's what it does. And now what happens is my phone is being used for the audio and my computer is still being used for the video. So if there are hiccups in the Wi-Fi and things like that, then I might freeze up on screen, but you're still going to hear me talking. There's not going to be any phone freeze that happens with it. So again, I'm glad it happened to me because I wanted to give you all that explanation of what I did so that it can help you if you're in a job interview situation. And if you've never had to do the thing where you switch to phone audio, try it right now. Like, use us as your playground here to try these things out. Like, go into the audio button, figure it out where it says switch to phone audio, and actually practice dialing in. Because I'd rather have you do it here the first time than when you're in the middle of an interview and you're panicking and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm a fool because I can't handle technology. It's going to happen. It will happen at some point. So test it out if you haven't done it. And then after you've tested getting on your phone, you can end your call from your phone and click on the phone audio, and it'll start the audio from your computer again. So there's a little way you can kind of toggle that back and forth. All right. So here is what we are going to do. We're going to go through questions, and we are going to share success stories with you. And I call these calls, we've been doing these for a few years. I call them Friday VIP Job Seeker Office Hours, because if we were working together at like a company, this would be like the day where my office door would be open and I'm sitting around with my friends drinking coffee, Kenneth and Sue and Mindy and Joey and others. And we're sitting around drinking coffee, and Mary comes up to the door, knock, knock, knock. Hey, I have a question. And we're like, come on in, Mary, what's going on? And then we talk about the questions, and maybe Nicole knocks on the door. Hey, I have a success story. We're like, oh, great. What's going on with you, Nicole? And we're going to share those with each other. So what I would ask is, if you have a question, I want you to put the word question in all caps, followed by your question inside chat. That way, if we can't get to you, others can see and can help you. If you have a success story, I want you to put success in all caps in chat. And then the other thing is, if you could use the little reactions and raise the hand, just like Nicole and Lisa have done, that makes it a little bit easier for me to find you in the audience. So Nicole, you are up first, my friend. Do you have a question, or do you have a success story you'd like to share with us?
I have a question. So the other day when I was on LinkedIn looking at the jobs, I noticed that there's like a little alert section where they say you have X number of skills that are listed in this job, blah, 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 blah. Now, what I was curious to know is, when a person is doing a search, I guess I'm trying to figure out what exactly is coming up for them. And that, what I mean by that is, if I have keywords throughout my profile, does that mean I'll come up in their search? Or is it just my headline and just my skills? Or is it like a combination of all of these things that can come up in their search? Because I'm trying to basically figure out, like, if I'm putting the stuff, the keywords and things of that nature in the right place on the profile, because I have all 50 skills taken up at this point. Okay. And I am, noticing they'll be like, oh, well, you don't have this skill and this skill and this skill. But then I look and I'm like, okay, well, that seems like common sense. If I say I have communication, written communication, it's part of it, that sort of thing. So yeah,
so
let
me jump in here, Nicole. Let me jump in, because I you're asking, so you applied for a job in LinkedIn saying, hey, other candidates have these skills. How important is it to have all of the skills on the profile? I think is the first question. And then I think the second question is, how are people finding you? And you've used all 50 skills, which is a good thing. So I'm curious if there's anyone on the call that has ever used LinkedIn Recruiter. And LinkedIn Recruiter is a paid version of LinkedIn that is used by people for recruiting candidates on LinkedIn. If you have, please raise your hand or unmute yourself, because I want to hear from you as a recruiter. How important is it that candidates are matching those skills? Any thoughts on that? If you've used Recruiter, Okay, I'm not hearing any responses on that. So Kenneth Lang is my fellow LinkedIn expert trainer coach. Kenneth, do you have any thoughts on how important is it that Nicole and others match the skills that are coming up in that prompt?
Well, I would say this. I mean, actually, I had a conversation with Ed Hahn about that last week. And I think the most important thing is to make sure you have skills kind of put all throughout the profile in the best way possible. You know, what he does, I mean, he has the whole recruiter seat, which is a lot different than the recruiter light. But I think you want to ask yourself this. And again, if you look at a job spec, you can put your skills there. You can have your top skills in the about section. You can put different skills within each job. And I think the more times you have skills in different places, the better it is, because recruiters do all sorts of searches. They do Boolean searches, they do combo searches. So you want to put yourself in the best light. And I think getting it from a recruiter's perspective is so important, because I see things a certain way, the same with you, Brenda, and all that, but understanding their mindset makes such a big difference. And when in doubt, what I would do is don't put a skill in that you're not comfortable with, you know, in terms of sharing. Just because a job says it, don't put it down, because then you're going to be called on it.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes lots of sense. So I just wanted to make sure that I was putting enough information in for people to find me. I've already been found by 2 recruiters. I literally got contacted by one that actually contacted me. She contacted me on my last day at the contract position. She was like, I just found you on LinkedIn and this job fits you like a glove. And I said, don't mind if I do. So then she submitted me, you know.
Well, that is a success story. You didn't put success in there, but I have to say, Nicole, I'm going to brag about you for just a minute, because you're going through my Boot Camp with Brenda program right now, and you're going through a very extensive process of updating your profile. And I know, like, module 1 has a lot of steps to go through, but you know, it's little tweaks that we're making on our profile. I mean, even things like the way that you're rewriting your about statement, you're using all 50 keywords. I mean, these things help you to come up in more relevant searches by the right people. So first of all, I want to congratulate you, because it's a lot of effort going through, and I'm so happy to hear you're getting these calls. So I'll just remind you, when you get into those phone calls for the initial screening, and the person that said, hey, this job's going to fit you like a glove, I want to make sure that you ask the question. When they say, what questions do you have? You ask the question, what was it about my background and qualifications that prompted you to reach out to me? So
I
get
did
that
ask
feedback.
her that, definitely.
Okay.
And basically what
Good.
she was saying, it was the mix of the fact that I finally had a title of technical writer, but then I also had all of this automotive experience. So I've worked directly with the engineers, and when they see the mix of it together, then it's like, oh, because usually a person has one type of brain or another type of brain, but I'm a Gemini, so I guess I have 2 brains.
You've got both sides. So
Yeah.
Nicole, I'm going to be speaking at an HR conference next week, and I know I'm going to come across some recruiters in the room. So I'm going to ask the question of them, how important is it to have a skill match with the top skills? I'm going to get the feedback and talk to people who are using Recruiter next week. And I will report it back to either this group, or maybe I'll do a blog about it just to share with you what we've done. But was that response helpful for you today?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for being on the call. All right. Mindy, you have your hand raised. Did you want to add something to that before we move on?
Yes, I just want to add one thing quick to Nicole, and kudos to you for doing all this great work. I would recommend that you take a hard look at those 50 skills that you have and look at them in comparison to the skills you're seeing in the jobs you're looking for, and make sure that you are matching, right? So if you have, I'll use your example, communication in there, but 9 out of the 10 jobs you're looking at ask for oral communication or written communication, you might want to think about changing, because you only have those 50 skills, right? So just take a hard look at those skills and make sure you have the ones that are going to promote you the best. You're muted, Nicole.
I was saying, I think I will be doing that, because I've already identified a few that I'm definitely thinking about replacing at this point. And especially since they have the top skill thing now, that's right under your about section like that. Like, I'm so excited about that.
Exactly. Just make sure you're aligned, you know, and
Yes.
you can always be tweaking that. So that's good that you be mindful about that. Good luck. You're doing great.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to keep us moving along here. Lisa, you will be next, and Alice, you are on deck. So Lisa, I think I saw question and success, but I could be mistaken. So what's happening with you?
I have both. Success is that I'm waiting for an offer on a job. They're doing we'll see, I didn't get it, but it's promising. It's between me and another person, which I've been working really hard for. And I wanted to mention that last week we had talked about, so this person that I interviewed with went on vacation for 2 weeks. I sent him a thank you email, and then we had talked about last week, somebody else said following up. So I did send him another email. So the first thing he saw when he came back from his vacation was that I was still interested, which I think is a really great tip that somebody had said last week. And the next thing is a question. I have an interview with another company in the middle of the month, but the pay is considerably lower, and the person that's offering the position knows that it's lower, but just can't get everybody else on board, so to speak. But I'm still going to go to the interview. Is that what you would suggest, that I just go and see what happens, and maybe they can find more money, or we can kind of meet in the middle?
All right. I see All Stars heads are nodding right now. So I see Kenneth, Sue, and Mindy's heads nodding like they're saying yes. So let's do this in this order: Mindy, Kenneth, and then Sue. What's your advice for Lisa on, should I go to an interview when I know that the pay range is below what I'm looking to make? Stop.
Okay. My opinion is yes, yes, and yes, for so many reasons. Number one, you never know what you're going to learn in an interview, right? I believe an interview is a dialogue between two people. It's not someone asking you a lot of questions. You need to ask questions as well. This job may not be the right job for you, but once you impress them with your skill set, they may have something completely different in mind for you. All right. So number one, you don't know what you're going to learn. Number two, might be a great networking opportunity for you in the future. This individual who you're going to meet with, or maybe it's a panel, who knows? Number two. Number three, practice, practice, practice. When you're interviewing, it's a skill. It's like any other muscle. You've got to start exercising it. And I know, Lisa, you go on a lot of interviews, but for anyone else who's listening, it is very important to practice that. And when you're practicing it, it's one thing to practice with, a career coach like myself, and, we're going to go through all the details. But when you're in front of the hiring manager and you get to practice real time, that's a beautiful thing. So yes, and yes, and yes. I have no reservations about going to an interview where the salary might be a little low. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's what I figured. Never want to say no.
And then Kenneth or Sue, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't have a lot to say besides what's been said already. It's practice, 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 but you also don't know what job may be there that you become a fit for as you have the conversation. Don't forget that they're reaching out to you based on a job you applied for, which is not to say they don't have something else there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Sue, anything more to add to that? No? Okay, we're going to keep this moving along. Okay, so did you have two questions, or was there just one question, Lisa? I want to make sure we get all your questions.
Just that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Thank you so much.
I feel like for you, it's just a matter of timing, and I've been talking about this for a while. I think timing and right opportunity, and the good thing is you're working, so you can be selective about what you leave your job for. But you're going to make somebody such an awesome employee, Lisa, and I'm going to be looking forward to celebrating that day with you. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Alice will be next, and then on deck is Al. So Alice, what do you have for us today? Question or a success story?
I have a question. This is my first time, and it sounds like a wonderful group. I'm a working copywriter for the retirement industry, 401k plans. And with the economic downturn, I've been losing clients, bleeding clients. And so I'm looking for a part-time remote position working with a TPA firm or advisory firm in plan administration, which is where a lot of my experience has been.
Okay, so did you have a question, Alice, or?
Yeah, my question is my LinkedIn profile talks about me as a writer, though I guess my experience as an administrator, but I don't want to completely get rid of the writing. So how do I do a hybrid profile.
Whoops, sorry, I have to unmute myself. Thank you for asking the question and for clarifying. I'm having a little bit of issues with my Zoom client because I'm using the web version versus desktop. Kenneth, would you be able to find Alice's profile and share it on screen so we can give her some informed feedback?
Just give me a second, all right? So.
Okay, thank you. And Alice, when you're doing the writing, is it for your own business and then you're looking for a full-time job? Am I understanding correctly?
I have clients. I've had clients. I'm down to one, which isn't enough for my needs. So I'm looking for a part-time remote position to sort of balance things out.
All right, I'm sharing her profile, Brenda. That is you, right, Alice?
That is me, Kenneth.
Okay, cool.
All right, got a copywriting business called Watts Copywriting, and you're looking for, but you're also open to a full-time job. In what would the full-time job be? What is your targeted job title and targeted?
It's a part-time job in plan and 401k administration.
Okay, so and you're still open to getting more clients, so you're not necessarily looking at leaving that business entirely, but you need to grow the business and you're looking for some side income, and that's why you're looking for the part-time. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so Kenneth, since you pulled it up first, is there anything you want to start with in terms of advice for Alice?
Well, I'm going to just scroll down to the About section, which I see here quickly. Looks really good. I would just say, do you have a company page? First of all, because I don't see a company page here, which might help. And I'm looking at your engagement. You don't have a lot of engagement also, which is all this activity here. And just bear with me as I scroll down. I don't see, I think you have a very good profile as a starting point. I think you have to market yourself more as a copywriter. And that means engaging, that means commenting. As a writer, you should be able to really put a lot of great content out there. Have you reached out? I happen to know Bob Bly, who actually lives in town. Have you reached out to him and had a conversation with him or just brainstormed because he's in your industry?
No, I haven't. But I'm on Bob Bly's mailing list.
Well, why don't you reach out to him? Because Bob Bly's a really, really great guy. And
okay.
He can speak in a different way than I can. I'm looking at this from a LinkedIn profile perspective. I know Brenda talks about collaboration and all that stuff, which is a way to kind of say you're going to collaborate, but you're going to learn from each other. So that's just those are kind of my first thoughts. What about you, Brenda? Want me to scroll down or?
No, I pulled it up on my phone as you were talking.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ken. So Alice, what kind of copywriting do you do? Because there might be somebody on the call that knows somebody who could benefit from your services. So what type of copywriting are you doing?
I write articles, case studies, and white papers about 401k topics.
Okay, so you're really focused in the financial services industry about 401k. Okay, very good to know. Okay, so everyone in the group knows I'm always about helping the all-stars and helping, fellow job seekers that are here in the room too. So if you do come across anyone that is working in those areas that could be benefiting from some writing, definitely check out Alice. I would echo what Ken said in creating the company page. And Alice, I put a link into chat, how to create a company page on LinkedIn for free. You can also Google that, but visit that, and it's a free process to set up. So the first thing I'm noticing is at the top of your profile, you've got your name and your headline on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, it says Watts Copywriting, and it has that gray avatar of the building with no logo. And what happens when we see a company name with that gray avatar, like in a second, we make a judgment call. Oh, she's not that well established, or she's just getting started. Maybe she's working out of her basement. This isn't a full-fledged business. And none of those things may be true, or maybe some of them are. But when we see a logo next to your company name, we get that warm, fuzzy feeling like it's a legitimate business. It's been around for a while. And the benefit of having a company page on LinkedIn is in your experience section. If they click on the logo, it takes them to your company page where they can learn more about you and your business. And you don't have to be super active on your company page. on my blog, I even outline, like, get it set up and here's things you need to do. And then create one post that says, welcome to the official LinkedIn company page for Watts Copywriting. And then just say, contact us if you need help with writing content on blogs, articles, etc. about 401ks. And in the meantime, connect with Alice Watts here on LinkedIn. So at least it has a welcome post on there, telling people why they should contact you, and then redirecting folks over to you, your personal profile on there. And that creates a little bit of legitimacy for your business. The other thing that might happen over time, Alex, is people will stumble upon that company page. And if you are posting content regularly, maybe it's tips about what to include in 401k blogs, how often you should publish content, whatever, you might get people starting to follow your page. And those people are basically, when they follow, it's like they're raising their hand. I am interested in learning more about Watts Copywriting. And you, as the page admin, can see who the page followers are. And some of those people might be first level connections, others might be second or third, and there could be opportunities for lead generation from there. So I want to help you, first of all, with grow the business, because I think from Kenneth's standpoint too, I think there's some opportunities to do a little bit more marketing and promotion for yourself. The other side is, if you're open to part-time opportunities, how do you start weaving that into your profile? And what I would do if I were you, I apologize, they're doing tree cutting in the background right now, but if I were you, what I would do is bring into your about statement, maybe the first paragraph is about what you do as an independent copywriter. Maybe in the second paragraph, you spell out, I am also open to part-time opportunities within XYZ in this geographic area while I manage my copywriting business. So you're kind of letting people know you're looking for part-time. So I like spelling that out. Part-time work as a job title in the geographic area. Like, tell people specifically what you're looking for. Because Alice, you're going to have people that are stumbling upon your profile, or it could be even people that you've applied for jobs with their company and they come to your LinkedIn profile and then they go, wait, she's a copywriter. She's not going to want to work for us part-time. But if you spelled out in your about statement that you're also looking for part-time opportunities, it makes it clear to them that you have time and that you've prioritized it. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I've been listening to you, trying to listen to you, and also the suggestions I'm getting on the chat. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, we're glad that you found us here, Alice, and thank you so much for the. I see Sue, Mindy, and Joey have their hands raised. Did you want to add something to that before we move on?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mindy. Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, Alice, one thing that you can do very quickly is to add to your skills, because right now I'm only seeing skills about your writing ability. I don't see anything about ERISA or 401ks or anything of that nature. So
Okay.
you have, I think, 22 or 29 skills right now. Go all the way up to 50, use all of them, and make sure you're also including that specialty that you have that differentiates you from all the other copywriters that are out there. You have a unique skill. Make sure that people understand that, and that should be in your skills as well as in your about section.
Okay.
That makes sense to you?
Makes sense. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right, we'll go Joey and then Sue.
Ken, can you bring up her page again if it's possible? So, and while you're doing that, Alice, if you're a copywriter, and I know Ken will agree with me as well as Brenda, when people go to your about section, they may not want to or have the desire to click on the more button. So you've got 3.5 seconds to grab somebody's attention, and right there. So yeah, if you, I want to reduce that, Ken, if I can, so we can see what it was before you tapped on more on the about section.
Uh-huh.
I want to show you what it looks like, because this is what I saw. So right there, that's, so if you're a copywriter and that's all I see, if I don't tap on more, I'm moving on. I don't see it. There's nothing there for me to grab onto. So you've got writing talent. Use all those spaces that you have in those 3 lines to get your message out, because not everybody's going to touch on.
There is more after the second line in about.
What I'm suggesting is, most people don't tap on more. They just read whatever's there and they move on. What I'm suggesting, and Brenda pointed it out as well, is tap into what it is that you want to do. Mindy as well. What is it that you want to do quickly, and get it written in those first 3 lines, so that those people who don't tap on more, who can read all about your about section, will see just a snippet of you up front.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to add some detail to what Brenda said about, and Ken said about your activity section. People in the chat have given you great ideas about who you could write for, but you've got a captive audience on LinkedIn, and your featured section is full of things you've written. Here's how I'd link it to you wanting to continue to work. You might want to do a brief post on 3 tips that my clients always ask me about. Or you might want to take the phased retirement baby boomers and split it into 4 or 5 posts. Show the writing that you're doing for people. And I'm going to put this out there. Brenda can probably explain it better than me, but there's also the opportunity, as you talk about in your company page, of using the scarcity mentality. Right now, I'm booking up through October. There are still slots available. So you can create, as you create your company page, you can create a way for people to say, oh, I got to get on her calendar. I don't know that all these will work, but you definitely have a way to amplify what you put out there. And that's the only thing you can control in your side of the conversation. Right. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you so very much for all your suggestions.
All right, thank you to the All-Stars for that. And speaking of scarcity mentality, I think that works really well as a marketer. People respond to requests when you say this is a limited time offer, or I only have a few spaces available. And I want to remind you too, Alice, and for everyone on the call for that matter, people need to be reminded about what you do and what you're using LinkedIn for, and if you're job seeking, what types of positions that you're looking for. So if you haven't ever done a post telling people, hey, I'm looking for clients who are looking for copywriting with 401k blogs and contests and stuff like that, or the introductions you've done of yourself in chat, just a reminder, I'm currently seeking a marketing director position in Metro Detroit. If you hear of anything, let me know. If you'd like to have a virtual coffee, let me know. Remind people of what you're looking for, because you never know when you're going to come across someone who sees that post and is like, oh my gosh, I have a perfect position. I'll message you about it. So a good reminder on there. All right,
I think there's supposed to be a way to print the chat.
There should be. In my version, I'm not seeing it, but in the chat box at the bottom, you should be able to see 3 dots.
Yes.
Where it says to everyone, 3 dots, and you should see a download option in there.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thank you.
If you can't message in chat, but I believe Julia is going to be publishing that in our private unlisted LinkedIn group. By the way, Julia, can you put the link in chat right now for the LinkedIn group? And I want to remind everyone on the call, we've got a little over 50 people on the call right now. You should be joining that group. And if you have any resources you come across, events that are coming up relevant to job seekers, job postings you see, put those in the group. Other LinkedIn events. I'm not I'm the only person who does this. If you hear of other LinkedIn for job seekers events, share those inside the group. Any resources you have, or you can even ask questions of others inside the group. We've got, I think, a little over 800 group members right now. And it's a really great way of growing your network with other amazing job seekers as well. So be sure to check that out. All right, we've got about 15 minutes to go. Next up is Al. And Al, I'm not sure if it was a question or a success story. What do you have?
I have a question. So I had an interview for a position a couple months ago, and I've noticed that the position is open again. So I'm curious about either strategy, or would you suggest I reapply for the position? I'm trying to see how I can get back into the, to get another interview to kind of introduce myself differently. I reached back out to these people after I didn't get to the next round. And I said, hey, is there any feedback you can give me? And I got, oh, we can't give you any feedback because we're on this committee and we can't give you any information. I'm like, okay. So now I'm curious if I should reapply for something like this after going through the first round.
All right. So question Al has is he applied for a position and is seeing the job posting coming up again. Should he reapply? And I want to see if the All-Stars have any advice for Al. My initial inclination before hearing all the additional context, Al, was make sure that you're, in addition to applying to the job, you're also making yourself visible as a candidate, and you're trying to build connections within the company. And some easy ways of doing that are going to the LinkedIn company page, make sure that you're following the company page, go to their activity stream on their page, find a recent post to add a thoughtful comment in there. And then some company pages, in their About section, right below the bottom of the About section, there'll be a box that says, I'm interested in working for this company. If you see that, click on that, because that kind of like raises your hand for recruiters if they're looking for candidates. And then the last thing I would do is go up to the top of the company page where it says number of employees. That's actually clickable. And when you click on that, you can see people who are employees of the company. If you have any direct connections, message them. If you don't have any direct connections, start making them, maybe inviting 3 to 5 employees within the department you'd be working in, or the department that you're applying in, for example, and try to warm yourself up as a connection. Now, in this case, it sounds like you applied. It didn't sound like it was a good fit. It sounds like maybe they've moved on. But I want to see if the other All-Stars, if any of the other All-Stars have any advice. I see Joey, and Kenneth was doing a little bobblehead a little while ago when he was describing. So I'm going to see if Kenneth has anything to add to that too. But Joey, why don't you go first?
Yeah. So Al, whatever Brenda said, I would follow her advice, but I'd also add my own 2 cents, and that's this: if it's not a fit, figure that out. Learn that right away, and then move on. But they got to tell you that, and until they tell you that, and if this is something you really want, I say plow ahead. Until they tell you to cease and desist, keep asking. Keep questioning, keep generating your interest. If it's in fact what you really want to do. If it's not, then move on. But you've got nothing to lose by asking, right? Just keep plugging away. And if they say, you know what, Al, we found somebody else, or it's just not the right time, they'll come up with some reason, right? Then you say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then move on. And then 3 months from now, if you're still unemployed, reach out again. Because the person they took on may have decided this isn't the right thing for me, and they may leave and a spot may be open, but they forgot about you unless you remind them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Kenneth, anything to add to that?
I'm going to put on from the conversation I had with Ed Hahn, who's a recruiter, who has shared with me many times that a lot of times they go back and they just change the specs up. They change one thing, another thing, and it's the same position as before, but now they go through the same drama of going through the entire process. You have nothing to lose by applying again. Don't let them say the excuse, well, we've already submitted you for the job, we can't submit you again. That is total BS. That's what they say on their end. You got to keep at it, but you also have to temper your expectations, because you also don't know what their mindset was going through it. But you have nothing to lose by applying at all.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about this position almost 10 months before, because I had talked. This is a community college. I actually had not an interview, but an information meeting with the president of the community college, who said, oh, and initially it was just a conversation. She looked at my resume and said, oh, you know what? I have this registrar position that's opening up in January. And she said, you'd be perfect for this. You could do this job. And then I didn't get to the next round when I got to the interview. So I have some in.
Right. It could be that they were all set to hire someone internally, and that person said no, or that person left the company or whatever. And then instead of going, well, here was Al, who's a great person, like, well, we're going to go through this process again. You just don't know.
Thank you.
I'm going to add one more quick thing, Brenda, sorry. But Al, community colleges are notorious for going back to people and re-interviewing people who are out there. So please don't worry about doing that. There are also some tips and tricks if you want to reach out to me about interviewing with community colleges, things that are really important from their perspective, and I'm happy to share those.
Great, thank you, Linda.
Okay, great. So Al, hopefully that was helpful for you, gives you some additional advice to think of. And I just want to encourage the audience, if you have any additional feedback for Al, please drop it into chat there. But some good nuggets there, and it might be helping others as well. I want to tell a quick story, and then we're going to go on to Brian next. Somebody said, hey, they like my shirt, and I got to tell this quick story. So my last career transition was in 2017. Before they told me I was let go, I was actually interviewing and wasn't finding anything in Metro Detroit. And I was looking at positions in Chicago. And I was at the point where I was like, the offer is imminent. And my family, we were starting to think about moving to Chicago. And I was at the airport and I picked up t-shirts for all of us. So this is the one that I bought for myself for Chicago. And got back home here in Michigan. A day or so went by. I did the thank you note, everything. And I got a call from the COO at the company. And she said, the president is going to be going out of the country for 2 weeks. And when she gets back, she's going to do a pro and con list with you and the other candidate. And she's going to make a decision. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to withdraw myself from consideration for the position. And you might go, oh my God, why would you do that? Well, you don't know the backstory. Leading up to this was 2 months of initial interview, video interview, give us a sample project, present the sample project to us, meet the leadership team, meet our agency partners, come out in person, meet everybody in person, tour the facility, talk to people. I mean, I had gone through rounds and rounds and rounds. I'm like, there is no way they're not going to offer me the position at this point. And then they were going to do a pro and con list when the person got back from vacation in 2 weeks. And I want to remind you of this too. You have control in your job search. And I know that you need to get a job. You need to get back to work and you want to be back to work and with an organization. But I knew if I kept myself in for consideration and they chose me, what was going to happen a month or two down the line when I presented a marketing plan and I said, here's the direction I want to go with different products. They were going to say, okay, we need to see this. We want to see that. We're going to do a pro and con. We're going to look at the budget. Like, I am not going to work with a company that can't be decisive. And if you do, and I told the COO, I said, if you don't know by now if I'm the right candidate for you, I am not the right candidate for you. I'm going to make the decision easy for you. And she's like, do you have another job offer? And I said, no. But honestly, I said, we're in the middle of the summer. I would have to sell my home, move my family, move my kids. And I said, you're not leaving me enough time to get things settled before the fall. And I hold no regrets about that decision. So I want to let you all know that too. If you are in a situation interviewing and you're not getting a good vibe from it, you have the power to remove yourself from consideration. And if you are in the process of job seeking and you're getting unemployment benefits from the state, I know you have to apply to jobs and they ask you questions about applying to jobs. Now, at that point, they had not offered me a position. I had removed myself from consideration. So the question on unemployment, were you given any job offers this week? I didn't have to say yes, because I didn't have a job offer for that week. So I want you to know and I'm not a lawyer, but there are I don't want to say loopholes, but there are scenarios that you can encounter where you can remove yourself and still be legitimate with the questions that you fill out in your unemployment paperwork. So I'll leave it at that. And I want to shift to Brian. We might go a few minutes over on the phone call today. I'll let you all know that. But Brian, you are up next, sir. Do you have a question, success story? What would you like to share with us? Brian?
Yes, I have a success story and just one kernel of advice that kind of picks up on what Joey and the other all-stars have mentioned, which is this is a grind. And I think I've been with Brenda now 3 years. And I want everybody on the call who's grinding and looking for work to go through at least the last 4 VIP calls and watch the recording, because Brenda doesn't know this, but she speaks in secret code. And it took me 1.5 years to get it, which is everybody here has a secret sauce. Everybody here has a talent. So when you're posting on LinkedIn, dig deep and rephrase your secret sauce and repost about that. And then Brenda kept saying at the end of other calls, oh, if you want to do this, you can do it. And then she said 8 months ago, you can look for work and also start your own business. And I'm going full tilt into coaching, speaking, and training. It's what I am passionate about. It's what I know inspires me to get up in the morning. And for years past, I just stopped and got a full-time job and stopped. I'm not stopping. My family's finally learning, why am I in the garage at night making videos? Because I'm not stopping my marketing. So those of you, if you don't have to start your own business, but I want you to find your secret sauce, and Brenda will help you do that. And sometimes the all-stars say something with a pitch or a tone you may not like, but it's all meant to help you and pick you up. And with that, I have a huge announcement. I want everybody to tell 100 friends that they need to be on Brenda's 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern LinkedIn group event with a special guest. Me, I'm going to be a coach talking about how to be a speaker and presenter and sell from the front of the stage, the back of the stage, and not sound like a pitchman, and lower your anxiety about speaking in front of groups, in front of your boss. That's one of my secret sauces. And I can't thank Brenda enough for helping to nudge and push and codge me to do my passion. So I think all of you can do that. And if you find me on LinkedIn, if any of you need just an ear to listen to, I know I've had depressing times where I've been on this call and Brenda messages me privately saying, if you don't want it on the front page of the New York Times, don't post that, because I get so angry at corporate wonks saying, oh, you can't work from home anymore and nobody wants to work and they're all lazy. And I'm like, bite me. Today, I turned proudly 29. I'm sorry, 62. And I know I'm capable to work, but I know companies look, there's no way to hide your age unless you put one job on your resume. So just keep going and find ways to stay positive. And with that, I'll be quiet. So thank you. And thank you, Brenda, and all the All-Stars.
Thank you, Brian. And by the way, Brian and I, we've been doing some
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
No, I can't.
Okay, thank you. So Brian and I were Brian booked some of the hourly coaching calls with me. I did drop the link into chat if anyone's interested in working with me. I'm doing a special rate right now. At some point it will end, but my regular rate for a 1 hour call is $250. And I'm offering a $100 rate for a limited time. It's inside chat if you're interested. But as part of the call, Brian was talking about setting up a LinkedIn Live series and bringing me on the show as his first guest. And I was talking to him about my processes because he's like, let's look at our calendars. I'm like, no, let's not look at our calendars. Let's you get a process set up for booking your guests that involves in Calendly or something. And I shared with him my process and I started talking. I'm like, you'd actually be a good guest to come on my show with me. So he's going to be on with me on the last Tuesday of July, Tuesday, July 25th at 9:05 a.m. Eastern, 6:05 a.m. Pacific time. I did drop the link into the chat where you can get the live link. I haven't put it up on LinkedIn yet, but if you RSVP on my company page, I'll message you the link once the live link gets up for that. And I share that with you. And I want to thank Brian so much for sharing that story because all of you are in a journey for career exploration right now. And I just want to speak to all of you. Some of you may find a job full-time working for a company as your next step in the process. Maybe that's your goal. You want to find a job, find an organization that offers you security and a paycheck and benefits and all that good stuff. Others, like Brian, may start to get an inkling about maybe I work for myself. Maybe I start a coaching business or a consulting business. Maybe I lean into some freelance writing or some freelance graphic design or freelance whatever. Maybe I think about being a part-time CFO or a part-time CMO or whatever it is. There's a lot of paths to career success. And I want you all to know that you don't have to just find the full-time job. There are contract positions. You can do project work. There's other paths that are out there. And I haven't told the boat story in a long time. Do you guys mind if I tell the boat story real quick? So in this, I've heard this several times. The most memorable telling of it is in the movie, what's it called, with Will Smith? Does anyone remember the name of it? The Will Smith movie with the little boy at the end of it. What's the name of the movie? Okay, anyways, if I think of it, I'll tell you the name of it. So the story goes like this. Thank you. The Pursuit of Happiness. So if you haven't watched that movie, watch that movie because it's a real great movie about resilience and persistence and success and mindset. At the end of the movie, there's a scene where Will and his son is telling him a story. And he says this. So there's a person who's really struggling, and there's a rainstorm that's happening inside the town, and the whole town is flooding out. And the man says to God, please save me, please rescue me. And the rain keeps happening. And the next day they start to evacuate the town, and the boats are coming through, and they're getting people out of their house. They're like, sir, you need to leave. And he says, no, God will save me. God will save me. And the rain keeps on going and going, and it's the second day, and now the rain is going up to the roof of the house, and the man's still, waiting for God to save him. Another boat comes by. Sir, we have to get you out. Everything's going down. We have to save you. And he says, no, God will save me. So he stays there. The rain keeps coming, and of course the house collapses. The man drowns. He goes up to heaven. He's at the pearly gates, and he's talking to God, and he says, God, why didn't you save me? And God says, what do you think the boats were for? And I love that story, because I think sometimes when we are in job search or an emotional situation, we get blinders on about, well, I'm only looking for what I did before. And it's very common, especially if you've been working in a job that you've loved for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. This is what I did before, so this is what I'm looking for now. In the meantime, you might have boats that are coming up to you. And those boats might be occurring in the form of LinkedIn connection requests from people that are fellow job seekers. There may be people that are approaching you that say, hey, Linda, I know you're looking for a full-time job, but you're a writer. Do you do resume rewriting? And Linda might initially say no, but she might think, well, I could. What were you thinking? And they might say, how much do you charge for the service? And that's another boat. When people say, hey, I know you're out of work right now. Could you help me with X? And how much do you charge for it? Do not say, no, I don't want to take any money for you. I'm happy to help you, because they're offering to pay you. When they say, how much do you charge for this? Your response is, what would you feel comfortable with? Okay. Until you get to the point where you say $100 or $500 or whatever it is, then you start telling them the rate. But if you're not comfortable yet, what would you feel comfortable paying? And let's say in the resume writing situation, they say, I'm out of work. I don't have a lot of money. How about 25? Linda says, sure, because that's $25 more that goes into Linda's pocket than she had before the situation started, right? And the next time it comes up, the person, same situation, maybe the person says, I can give you 50. I'm sorry, I don't have more, but I can give you 50, whatever it is. And then at some point, Linda starts to start this business up on the sidelines. She starts to go to the job seeking groups and put into chat, hey, I can help you edit and review your resume. Let me know if you're interested, and then people start messaging her and booking appointments. And then Linda started her whole business, and Linda doesn't have to go to a corporate job. I'm just making this scenario up, but I want you to think about when people are approaching you, when you're in between successes, you're in career transition where you are now, and they're saying, hey, since you have some time, could you help me with this? Yeah, have the conversation, entertain the boat that is coming to you and say, what were you looking for? Nicole is a data analyst. Like if they say, well, we need some help with X, Y, and Z, is that something you could do? If you can, say, yeah, I can. And they say, how much would you charge? What do you say? What do you feel comfortable with? Right? What do you feel comfortable with? And then you put some money in your pocket is what you do. So again, we don't turn down, these opportunities that are coming to you. Have the conversation. And I want you to think about me in your head right now, thinking about me, like Bobby, that was a boat. You silly. You should take the conversation and see where the conversation goes. It could be for part-time project work. It could be your approach for a position that's not in your box of what you did before, but somebody says, hey, you used to work in sales. Have you ever thought about working in account management? And if you have your blinders on, you might say, no, I'm a salesperson. But if you're open to boats, you might say, I have actually thought about that. Could we have the conversation? Have the conversation. My friend Tina Marie Wolfeld told me this, and I want you to remember this. She said that you don't turn down opportunities for conversations. You turn down job offers if you're not a good fit for it. But have the conversation, see where those conversations will lead. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration. I hope that opens you up to just thinking about the possibilities, because where you think you're going to go next may not be where you go next. Be open to possibilities about other paths that are out there. And especially, if you're in an industry that's contracting, you might have to go into an industry where there's growth. You might have to move into a different position where you can use some of those transferable skills. All right. So, yeah, Kenneth, I love that. I love that analogy. You pay a plumber or an electrician for their service. So, you wouldn't call a plumber and expect them to snake your drain for free, right? So you would ask them, how much do you charge, right? So yeah, absolutely. We need a bigger boat. Jaws, the movie. Great shout out there, Ryan. All right. I think we got through all of our questions, and I just want to thank everyone for being on the phone today. Many of you are still on to the very end. So I just want to say thank you to the All-Stars, to Kenneth, Sue, Mindy, I know had to drop off early. I think Joey had to drop off as well. And Julia, thank you for helping in the background. And also the thank to all of you for making this a party for your day. It was great to see you, Bev, Andrew, Alice, Fiona, Sandy, Paul, Nicole, Mary, Charles, Rob, Colleen, Katie, Chris, Laura, Sherry, Lisa, Randy, Amanda, Dana, Rob, Shelley, Scott, Angela, Patty, Alyssa, Wendy, Debbie, Kara, Joey. Oh, you are still on, Joey. Melissa, Eleanor, Brian, Tara, David, Dean, Daniel, Vic the Pie Man, and Simeon. Again, my name is Brenda Meller. My goal is to not see you on these Friday calls anymore, not because I don't like you, but because I want you to be back to work. And until then, we are here for you. Reminder, we are here every Friday through the end of July. And then starting in August, you will see us on the first Friday of the month. And I want to give one final plug to the All-Stars. If you are interested in getting help with career strategy, coaching, resumes, anything like that, please do business with the All-Stars. They donate their time here every single week, and I'd love to be able to support them. With that said, I'm going to stop the recording on YouTube. I will keep the Zoom link open for about 5 minutes for anybody that wants to download the chat. And then otherwise, we will see you all next Friday. Have a great week, my friends. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.